tonight with Doc Fran. As always on Thursday, we like to cover leadership things. We have a leadership series that we continue. Man, I can't talk tonight. What is going on? We will continue to do leadership series, the 21 Laws of Leadership. So give me 1 second. I'm going to get that pulled up, and then we'll go into our subject for tonight. All right, Dr. Fran, back to you. Dr. Fran? Hello? Is anyone there? Hello?
Okay, am I back?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. My audio connection dropped, and then my network connection dropped, and now it's back. So, all right. Well, good evening again, folks. And as Casper said, I am Doc Fran, and I'm really having a lot of fun doing the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and we're doing one a week each Thursday night in our leadership training, and I appreciate the feedback that I've been getting from many of our partners that have been steadfast on attending our talks each week. And tonight we're in week 8, and we're going to talk about the law of intuition. And as Casper has up there, it says, with experience, you'll build great instincts. And leaders go with their guts many times because they need to make a quick decision. And practice making quick decisions using your intuition. And so if I could have slide 1, Casper, that will be excellent. And tonight's law is the law of intuition. And the subtitle to that is leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. Next slide. Now, I like to start out with definitions all the time so that we have clarity and we can understand how I'm defining the word. Webster's Dictionary defines intuition as its definition and understanding independent of direct perception of truth, fact, etc., or with an independent of any reasoning process. So it's a direct perception of truth, fact, etc., independent of any reasoning process. And many of us know this. We call it our gut feeling. And how many of you know the phrase that Jack Webb made famous in the Dragnet series, where he stated, "Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts." Of all the laws of leadership, the law of intuition is probably the most difficult to understand. And why? Well, it's because, guys, it depends on so much more than just the facts. The law of intuition is based on facts plus instinct and other intangible factors. And the reality is that leadership intuition is often the one factor that separates the greatest leaders from the merely good leaders. Now, all leaders have talent. It makes one leader a third-string backup and another leader a Hall of Famer is often their intuition. The great ones can see things others can't, make changes and move forward before others even know what's happening. Next slide, please. Now, leadership in our industry is a lot like being a sports coach. And sports coaches embody what I like to call informed intuition. Now, those of you who've played sports or been coaches know that you don't have a successful team without a playbook. And a playbook is basically designed to handle any situation that arises on the field. And in our industry, our leadership playbook is a handbook of tried and true procedures, methods, policies, etc., handlings for situations that occur in the field. Now, whether we're coaching the whole team or an individual player, a leader has to read the situation and know instinctively what play to call from his playbook. Next slide.
Did we lose that Fran again?
Informed leadership bias, and as a result, they instinctively, almost automatically know what to do next. Next slide. Effective leaders are always looking through a leadership lens. They are always sensing the flow and regaining the vision. They look for leaders in their group. Then they develop these leaders, give these men and women direction and a sense of purpose. Leaders set goals for themselves, their leaders, their group, and the people. And need a goal to get them to action. Next slide. How leaders think. Because of their intuition, leaders evaluate everything with their leadership bias. Now, folks, we all know that some people are born with great leadership intuition. They're natural born leaders. Others have to work hard to develop and hone that skill and that intuition. But either way it evolves, the result is always a combination of natural ability and learned skills. Even the born leader, if they are going to maximize their talents, they need to practice and sharpen and learn to hone those skills to their maximum potential. Now, the best way to describe leadership bias is an ability to get a handle on these intangible factors to them and to work with them to accomplish their leadership goals. Now, slide 7. We've often heard Casper say that leaders are readers. The next slide. And leaders are readers of their, next slide, situation. Leaders can sense when there's something going on under the surface and that they need to get a handle on it, and they'll immediately investigate it. Next slide. Leaders are readers of trends. Leaders have the ability to step back from what's happening at the moment and see not only where they and their people have gone, but also where they are headed in the future. You know, it's often said, if you're a pilot, you'll understand this, that these big jumbo commercial jets are off their course line 90% of the flight. And yet, isn't it amazing that they always seem to land at the right airport on the right runway in the right direction at the right time 99% of the time? So that's because of their ability to read the trends and to understand the multiple intangible factors that affect the actual movement of that big jumbo jet over the course of time through the massive air. Next slide. Leaders are readers of their resources. Successful leaders see every situation in terms of available resources, whether it's the money available, raw materials, technology, and most importantly, their people. And really, leaders never forget that their people are their greatest assets. Now, leaders who want to succeed maximize every asset and resource they have at their disposal for the benefit of their organization. Next slide. Leaders are readers of people, and intuitive leaders can sense what's happening among people and can sense instantly when their hopes, fears, and concerns have shifted or become manifest. And a leader immediately gets into communication with those people to determine what has changed in their world and help coach them back into the direction that will lead them to the goals that they've set out for themselves. Next slide. Leaders are readers of themselves. And folks, we can't hammer this home enough. Everything starts with you. Every one of the laws of leadership, all of the trainings that we've done in developing the rules and the techniques and the skills involved in this accomplishment of this business and in fact in life comes back to the bottom line, you. Good leaders develop the ability to read themselves, their strengths, their skills, their weaknesses, and their current state of mind. They recognize the truth that no one can produce great things who's not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself. If you're not centered, you cannot expect to project yourself from a center of calm, and you cannot expect that people will sense your center and wish to follow your leadership. In summary, dictates what you will see around you. Next slide, please. Now, there are 3 levels of leadership intuition. Next slide. First, I found that all people fit into one of 3 major intuition levels. The first is those who naturally see it, and we've talked about that. Some people are born with exceptional leadership gifts. And even when we're kids, we can see that they acted as leaders. Watch them on the playground, and you can see everyone is following them. People with natural leadership intuition can build upon it and become world-class leaders of the highest caliber. Their natural ability, coupled with proper training, study, reading, and practice, is often the difference between a natural leader becoming a 9 or an excellent leader and a 10 world-class leader. Next slide. The second group of people are those who can be nurtured to see it. Now, not everyone starts off with natural born instincts, but whatever abilities people have can be nurtured and developed. Thinking positively, having someone who constantly affirms the things that you do right and helps pick you up and dust you off when you do things not so right. And the ability to think like a leader is informed intuition, where you have your playbook, you develop your playbook, you know that you have a tool bag or a toolkit of plays and handlings for situations. And folks, practice brings confidence, repetition, a number of times over and through an experience where you find a handling that produces the desired result. You become more and more calm, confident, and centered in managing whatever situation presents itself. And even someone who doesn't start off as a natural leader can become a 9 or a 10 on that scale by conscientious training, mentoring, coaching, reading, and study and application. Now, unfortunately, people who don't develop their intuitions are, condemned to be blindsided in their leadership at various times for the rest of their lives. Next slide, Casper, please. And those people who fall into the third group are those who will never see it. Now, I do believe that nearly everyone is capable of developing some leadership skills and intuition, but occasionally we're going to find people who don't seem to have any interest in developing the skills necessary to lead. And you know what? That's totally okay. Those people will never think like anything but followers. And folks, where would we be if we didn't have people to look up and rely on and look leadership? We've all heard the adage, there's too many chiefs in the kitchen. So, whatever category you feel you fit in, that's okay. But if you're going to be a follower, be a good follower. Make yourself follow the leader that you've chosen. Do what they ask you to do, because they're not going to ask you to do anything that's counter to accomplishing the goals that you both need and want for you. And the whole group does better when every individual in it does better. There is no other way. Next slide, please. Now, leaders solve problems using this law of intuition. Whenever leaders find themselves facing a problem, they automatically measure it and begin solving it using their intuition and the law of intuition. Use your instincts to think and act outside the box to achieve the desired objective. I've often found that solutions to problems or situations that arise in common thinking can never be resolved or solved by using the same lines of reasoning. You have to go outside the thinking and reasoning that created that situation or problem in the first place to find a creative solution. And what that really means is, next slide please, leadership and intuitive leadership is far more of an art than a science. And viewed from the law of intuition, leadership is really more art than science. The principles of leadership are constants, but the application changes with every leader in every situation. That's why it requires informed intuition. If you want to lead long, you've got to obey the law of intuition. I want to thank you for your attention tonight. Next week, we're going to talk about the law of magnetism. Who you are is who you attract. Casper, back to you.